Aloha, and thank you, Admiral, for taking the time to sit down with us in Hawaii and have a conversation about the Navy today.
Aloha to you too, and mahalo for having me here. It's a beautiful day and I'm really happy to be here.
Hey, sir. We have a lot to talk about, so let's dive right in. Sir, with sequestration being the word of the day, under that, what kinds of impact should we expect to see next year?
Well, sequestration has brought a lot of conversation about uncertainty, but there's some certainty involved that I'd like to talk about first right now. And I think first, pay. The President of the United States just recently signed an order which exempted pay and manpower from sequestration. So the good news is there's a certainty in 14 of pay, allowances, and tuition assistance, that in the budget. That'll be the same. So to me that's important because what I want our sailors and our civilian sailors as much as possible and our families focusing on is the task at hand. But the other side of this, sequestration will affect a lot of our operations and our investments. We will, like we did here in 13, be able to deploy one carrier to the Arabian Gulf and one carrier strike group I'm referring to the Western Pacific. Same with amphibious ready groups. But our problem will be our surge. We won't have the forces to surge in case of a contingency like we're used to. For example, we usually have 3 carriers and 3 amphibious ready groups standing by ready to surge. We'll have one of each in this case. And it's going to affect our investments accounts, up to maybe 25 aircraft, not being able to procure that, and up to maybe 2, up to maybe 4 ships. We'll work all that through, but the point is, we'll see effects this year that we did not in 14 that we didn't see in 13.
It's all over the news. The Secretary of Defense is talking about cutting our carrier strike groups from 11 down to 9, maybe even 8.
We did a study, and we would be the Department of Defense, the service chiefs, the combatant commanders were involved, Secretary of Defense's staff, Secretary of the Navy's, and all the service secretaries. We all got together in a pretty collaborative effort this last summer and did what's called Strategic Choices and Management Review, SCMR, and some call it the skimmer. And what the Secretary was speaking to was one potential scenario in this skimmer, if you will, would be to maintain a high-tech investment in a future scenario of reduced budget, and in order to support that, take away force structure so that as you're balancing out the force. That particular scenario we refer to, we may need to reduce the number of carrier strike groups, and as he mentioned, maybe down to 9, maybe 8. So what I tell you is it is a scenario. It's not necessarily the scenario, but it's a reflection of the fact that everything's on the table as we look out into the future in that sort of reduced fiscal resource environment.
Could sailors, now with this reduced environment, are sailors in danger of a reduction in force?
Well, yes, a reduction in force. Now, if you're talking a reduction in sailors, I would put it this way. We man our equipment. We have aircraft squadrons and we have ships, and we organize, train, equip, recruit, and retain people to man those, as opposed to the Army or as opposed to the Marine Corps who equip manning. And so we may have to retire some of our ships and some of our aircraft. We would reduce manning requisite with that change in force structure. So again, this is a scenario, MC1, and it could be, maybe not. There's a lot of work to be done, and we're doing it through the summer into the fall. But what I won't do, and what we won't do, is we won't reduce manpower unless we're reducing ships and aircraft. We don't have that flexibility, and frankly, we are just getting the number of people we need in the Navy to man the Navy right for the number of ships and aircraft we have. I don't want to go back to any. There's no more efficiencies in that regard, and we're pretty set on that.
Awesome, sir. Now, what about with our civilian shipmates? Do you foresee any more furloughs in fiscal year 2014?
I hope not. I cannot say there will not be any furloughs, but I tell you, it is not in my plan, and it is not in the Secretary of the Navy's plan. But we need to work through the challenge and see what we can do. The loss of our civilian sailors, if you will, due to furlough, their contribution, it hurt. I could see it in our ability to get complete shipbuilding. I could see it in our ability to complete ship maintenance, day-to-day contracting. Hey, they're a part and parcel to a very important team, and we need them. So I don't want to get on that road unless we absolutely have to, and I'll work very hard with my staff to avoid that at all costs. We need them.
What do you foresee happening with deployments and deployment lengths?
Well, I think deployment lengths will stay about where they are now, somewhere around 7.5 to 8 months through the remainder of 13 into about a half of fiscal year 14. Again, we'll sustain forward one carrier strike group in the Arabian Gulf and one carrier strike group in the Western Pacific. So that deployment length is about where we'll be. But where I want to get is a more predictable and stabilized deployment length. And that's really what we're looking at when we look at fiscal year 15 and out, this longer term look. What is the Navy that we want for the future? What will this Navy be asked to do? And what kind of forward presence do we need to provide the combatant commanders? Those are the discussions we'll have. We need a much more stabilized approach. I think our sailors deserve it.
And you've talked about set and drift in your first position report. What other challenges besides the budget do you foresee?
We have a challenge for our times, MC1, and it's sexual assault. This takes up a bit of my day every day. It's constantly on my mind. And I tell you, there are 4 key elements to our approach to defeat this sexual assault issue that we have. One is we got to make sure that we have proper advocacy for our victims, and we have a number of programs put in place for special victim counsel, ensuring that victims know that there are 10 ways to report a sexual assault. It doesn't involve necessarily the chain of command, that's only one. To be sure that they are protected, that there's no retribution, victim advocacy. We got to prosecute the perpetrators and ensure that they are held accountable, and we have the right number of prosecutors, that we are focused on making sure we carry through, be it a court-martial, be it a non-judicial punishment, whatever we need to do. This is a serious offense and we need to treat it as such. And we need to hold an accountability, and what that means is we need to post the results of court-martials, NJPs, make sure our commanding officers know that this needs to get out to our crew, to our people, to be sure that these folks are held accountable. So that's 3 of the 4, and the last one I want to talk about is the climate. Our commanding officers, our senior enlisted, all of us have to be sure that we have a climate and environment of dignity and respect on all of our units. Our sailors deserve a safe environment, one free of harassment, where they can focus on what they need to do. They should be thriving, not surviving, if you will, aboard.
MCPON recently spoke about uniforms on his blog, and during an all-hands call in Mayport, you also tackled the uniform issue. Can you tell us of any changes we might see to the NWU?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make sure we wear the uniform properly and that the uniform is made properly. Some people say, what about new uniforms? Hey, I'm with a MCPON. Let's get the ones that we have right. They fit right, they wear right. So there's 2 things we're looking at. One, the NW1, as currently laid out and where it is worn today, is a safe uniform. But what I want to do, and what the MCPON wants to do, and what we all want to do, is put a uniform together with the right fibers that we can wear it anywhere. Make it fire retardant so that you can wear it anywhere in shipboard. But where it is worn today, for the design that it is a safe uniform. Number 2, though, I get a lot of comments about it's hot. It's, you know, people in tropical areas, and I've worn it, and I think I agree with it. So we're looking into some fibers, and we're going to do some wear tests, working with the Defense Logistics Agency. That big organization makes our uniforms, and they're putting together some prototypes to see what can we have out there in microfibers, different textures, to allow them to breathe better so that our folks are more comfortable in it. So it's really safety and comfort and looking right in the uniform that we have.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I've also heard you talk, and I've read also a lot about EM, cyber, and payloads versus platforms. What other areas are you focused on?
The undersea domain, anything underwater, we own. It has been that way for a long time, and in fact, we got 18 of the finest submarines in the world right behind us here in Pearl Harbor. Looking at making sure that we maintain that superiority that we have in the undersea domain, that's very important to me. And it's not just more submarines. It's unmanned underwater vehicles. It's fixed systems on the bottom. It's autonomous systems that will occasionally travel around, record equipment, come up and report it. It's new aircraft, our P-8, which is going to deploy this year, replacing the P-3. And it's unmanned aerial vehicles with sensors to detect things under the water. So it's all of that coming together in a network. And I think near the end of this decade, we'll see quite a bit of advances in this regard. And lastly, I would say working together with the Marine Corps and new concepts for operations. You know, We are an unbeatable team when we get together with our Marine brothers and sisters. They're coming from out of these land wars, they're coming back into an expeditionary nature. Looking at the amphibious ready group, it's 3 ships, you know, where we need to be in the future. Use the new ships we have coming in, like the Joint High-Speed Vessel, the Littoral Combat Ship, in areas with our Marine brothers and sisters that make more sense. Those are some key areas that we're looking at.
Finally, what is one message that you would like to get out to your sailors and their families?
Well, I'd like them to, first I want to say thank you. And I'd like them to remember that they are what we call our asymmetric advantage. They are the difference between us and any other Navy, any other military in the world. And it's what makes us the finest Navy in the world, our people. When I talk to my fellow service chiefs, when I talk to any other military members and key people around the world, they want to know, how do you bring so much responsibility to your NCOs, to your sailors? How do you do that? And that they study us all the time. They are our asymmetric advantage, and we just celebrated 40 years of the all-volunteer force. So as we go into the future, it's the all-volunteer force we got to get right, and that's our sailors and their families and our sailor civilians as well.
Sir, thank you. So Admiral, I just want to thank you so much for taking your time and coming and sitting with us and having a conversation with the sailors. And we look forward to doing this again wherever you may go. Okay. And continue with the conversations with the fleet.
Thank you.
So
it's a
thank you,
pleasure.
sir.
All right.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.